Climate change is a change in statistical distribution of weather patterns when that change lasts for an extended period of time.
What makes you reliable to talk about this subject?
I teach astronomy and earth sciences and have been doing so for 20 years.
Okay, my name is Michael Eugene Pettignon, and hopefully that doesn't discredit what I'm going to say. I am the AP Environmental Science teacher and AP Chemistry teacher. I've been that for about 9 years. My major in college was environmental biology, and yeah, I don't know, you can trust me.
What's your viewpoint on climate change and why?
No one knows the correct answer. No one knows exactly what's going on.
What are the opposing viewpoints?
The opposing viewpoints are scientists now are coming out and saying that the last presidential administration forced them to match their climate data to their expectations, not what the actual climate data was.
So that discredited their argument that
It discredits a lot of the argument, not to say that we shouldn't take care of our planet. But at the same time, every science teacher received one of these this year. And this comes from the people who are from UCLA, who are in charge of World Climate Organization. And they talked about how they were bullied into changing their data to make it seem worse than it was.
Make mistakes, and I feel like, it was a big one. It definitely took any global warming skeptic, it gave them some ammunition. I think that there's other scientists out there doing really good work, and there's different lines of evidence that lead to the same conclusion. So they could do ice core samples, they could do ocean sediment samples. All of these things have led to make us realize that global warming is a real thing. And actually, even if you're a global warming skeptic, you cannot deny the fact that when carbon dioxide increases in the atmosphere, it dissolves in ocean water and lowers the pH. So right now, we've gone from an 8.2 pH global scale of the ocean to about an 8.1, and it's projected to drop. They found that whenever it's around a 7.8, and they found this in ocean sediments, rocks, etc., mass extinctions occur. Okay.
Climate change negatively impacts agriculture, health, and environment.
My viewpoint is that global warming is absolutely real, and humans are contributing to a rise in global temperatures, and they have been the last 100 or so years.
Okay, what are the opposing viewpoints and how would you discredit their arguments?
I think the opposing viewpoints are that the amount of carbon dioxide that we're emitting into the atmosphere is minuscule compared to, say, like volcanic eruptions or natural carbon in the atmosphere. But we're actually, one thing I'm going to say is that we're adding carbon from ancient atmospheres. And some people, I think, argue that, well, in ancient times, life was abundant, and there was really a tropical time, and there's a lot of things living at that point in time, but they were adapted to a warmer atmosphere at that time as well. And when we change things too fast, life cannot adapt. I think our most sensitive species going extinct globally, amphibians, birds, vegetation, is an indication that it's a real thing. So.
Okay. What precautions, if any, should be taken for climate change?
I think the people of Earth should take care of Earth. We have to live here. I don't think there's any problem with that.
What precautions, if any, should be taken for climate change and global warming?
I think the precautionary principle would be to just say, okay, even if it's less than what we thought it would be, I think a lot of the things that lead to global warming have other impacts as well. Like, for instance, we burn a ton of carbon, we burn a ton of coal, and last time I checked, it's the #1 emitter of mercury. It's a huge cause of acid mine drainage. Blowing up mountains is causing a loss in biodiversity. We're changing the landscape faster than ever, and we're cutting down the rainforest and planting palm oil plantations. So we're even taking the Earth's ability to capture this carbon away from itself. So whether you think burning fossil fuels is the real reason that global warming is happening or not, it's actually happening, and we need to prepare, and we need to just be cautious on what we're doing, how we're getting our energy. There's better ways.
Why?
There's like wind power, solar power. Why is it that when I buy a battery electric vehicle that it costs way more than a regular vehicle, and when you calculate the amount of money that you would actually save on buying a battery electric vehicle, that's the money that you pay extra. Why don't we subsidize things that are better for the environment? Because people can't get rich on it. Unfortunately, I think big corporations have a lot to do with the way data is perceived. Of course, coal companies wouldn't want the data to show that there was global warming because they can make massive profits, as can oil companies, etc.
Believe is a funny word. You don't believe in science, you prove science. And right now, it is not proven beyond the shadow of a reasonable doubt in science. There are too many differing opinions, and there is too much false information that is going around and being perpetuated onto people. Facebook, social media, those types of things have been saying that 97% of all people in the science community think that climate change is real. It's more along the lines of about 60%. It's almost half and half.
So you think that ties into like the fear-mongering like culture of today?
Absolutely. We call it alarmism. I've learned that whenever there is alarmism, there is an agenda behind it.
For climate change.
I don't think people are mainly. I mean, the climate's going to change regardless. I mean, it's going to be warmer. It's going to fluctuate. But I think that we are responsible for significant rises in temperature over the last 100 years, and that's due to the Industrial Revolution. So we're not the only contributor, but I mean, we are a big portion of it, and we're changing things faster than, it needs to change. It's definitely unnatural.
If temperatures continue to increase, what do you think will happen to the planet?
Temperatures continue to increase. I believe that and again, there's not just one factor. This is this on top of other factors. But I can, tell you that in the 90s, there was an El Nino event. And that El Nino event, they actually drilled into the corals in the Galapagos Island to find out what bleached all of them out. 95% of corals died in the Galapagos. So they drilled into them and they found out that thousands of years these corals were alive and thriving. And there's no incidents at all that led to their total, annihilation and bleaching. Now, an El Nino event can lead to warm water, but why is it that an El Nino event happens every 7 years and it's never happened before? Well, I think it's because it's on the backdrop of global warming. So it's not just an El Nino event, but also with global warming, that's happened. So what do I think the future is going to look like? Well, say goodbye to the coral reefs. Okay, say goodbye to any sensitive species in the rainforest. Pretty much anything that is going to struggle with any change very quickly, say goodbye to that.
Climate change reacts when it's faced to change. Humans are now the dominant force.